Just a moment. Like that. Yeah. Hopefully we are now recording as we should. Let's see. Double checking, triple checking. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, all right. So, yeah, we are fine. We are fine. Everything's fine. So, yeah. Welcome to the entire retreat podcast. My name is Ode, and I'm your host. And together with AI Sky, my trusty co-host, pilot, and assistant, we fly far, wide, low, and high over real-world locations that relate to the topics discussed in each episode. And today, again, an exciting episode because we are collaborating. I think this is the third part on our around the world trip from east to west, where we are collaborating with ISS, or in other words, International Sibling Society. And yeah, thank you again, Cynthia Burleson, for keeping in touch or taking contact with us. And yeah, without further ado, we are loaded into airspace above Kenya. I'm gonna see that everything's working here also. Yes, and pause it for a minute. So yeah, as I said, a collaboration with ISS, International Sibling Society, especially Cynthia Burleson that contacted us, and together we are doing this series from or a series around the world from east to west, where we fly over and discuss the SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals for each country one by one. And these countries, of course, are collaborating or partners with the International Sibling Society. So that's kind of a mutual thing here. But yeah, we are diving into these Sustainable Development Goals 17 that the UN or United Nations have come up with for the world. And we're not going into every single one for every single country, but we're kind of handpicking some of those and looking in or exploring at the challenges, and then of course the resolutions or successes that the countries have done to overcome these problems regarding sustainable development. And yeah, so we have AI Sky with us again. Let's see if we have everything on as it should be. Double checking, triple checking. I had some problems with recording, so hence I'm of course checking that everything's working. But yeah, hey AI Sky, are you with us? We are above Kenya, and together with ISS and Cynthia Burleson, we are diving into yet another. I think this is the third part regarding sustainable development challenges and resolutions. And yeah, Kenya, and we're flying from Masai Mara, the national park, to Nairobi slums, and discussing the aforementioned topic.
Absolutely, I'm here. It sounds like an exciting episode. Exploring Kenya's sustainable development challenges from Masai Mara to Nairobi's urban areas will provide a lot of valuable insights.
Hopefully, yeah.
I'm ready to dive into the discussion with you and Cynthia.
Yeah, just to be clear here,
You're
Cynthia.
welcome.
Yeah, all right. Don't speak on top of me, Sky, again. But yeah, Cynthia is not a part of this episode. Maybe in the future, but in this current episode, she is not a guest. So it's just you and me. But the collaboration is still with her and ISS. So just to make that sure that you don't think that we are two humans you are talking to.
Got it. I'll make sure to keep that in mind. It's just you and me for this episode, with the collaboration still ongoing with Cynthia and ISS. Let's make it a great one.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, alright. And we are above Masai Mara, and I have written down this that I'm gonna adjust my monitoring in my headset a little here because the airplane is so loud. But yeah, Masai Mara, SDG number 15, life on land. The exact location within Masai Mara is Talek village. I'm not sure if I can find that exact village, but let's see. And the challenge is wildlife habitat destruction, and the resolution has been sustainable tourism and conservation programs. So that's the first topic. But before we go into that, Sky, I want you to say hello to our audience also in the native language of Kenya and the area beneath us. I am absolutely clueless, sorry for my limited knowledge here, but I am absolutely clueless of what language is spoken in Kenya and what it sounds like. So can you help me with that, Sky? Hopefully.
No problem at all. In Kenya, Swahili and English are the official languages. Swahili is widely spoken and is a great choice for greeting your audience. So here goes. Habari zenu wapendwa wa Tired Retreat. Karibuni kwa safari yetu juu ya Masai Mara. Tunatarajia kuwa na mazungumzo mazuri kuhusu malengo ya maendeleo endelevu. This means, hello dear and Tired Retreat listeners. Welcome to our journey over Masai Mara. We look forward to having a great discussion about sustainable development goals.
Amazing. Simply amazing. Was that really... did you say it was Swahili?
Yes, that was Swahili. It's one of the most commonly spoken languages in Kenya and is widely used in daily communication. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, good job, Sky. I'm unsure what languages you are able to speak, but hopefully this translated right to our possible Kenyan, or is it the right phrase to say Kenyan audience? How do you kind of bend the word in that language I just used?
For referring to people from Kenya, you can use Kenyan in English.
Yeah, Kenyans.
In Swahili, you might say Wakenya for a singular person and Wakenya for plural. So your phrase would be understood as addressing a Kenyan audience.
Yeah, how do I say welcome to the Kenyan audience in Swahili?
To say welcome to the Kenyan audience in Swahili, you can say Karibu kwa watazamaji wa Kenya.
Karibu watazamaji wa Kenya. Sorry, I'm butchering this, I'm sure. Can you help me, Sky? Did I say it right or wrong?
You're close. It should be Karibu kwa watazamaji wa Kenya. Your attempt was
Karibu
understandable, but the correct phrasing is a bit different. Don't worry,
Kenya.
language learning takes practice.
Yeah. Karibu watazamaji wa Kenya. I'm sorry if that's wrong. But yeah, welcome to the Kenyan audience also. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to learn some languages on the way. So yeah, some ground rules, Sky, before we continue, as we usually here go through them. So be descriptive and depictive by painting visual pictures for our listeners regarding the scenery we fly over and the topics we discuss. Keep the information chronological so that it's easier to understand. Do not repeat yourself and hence keep the conversation fresh. Please do not interrupt me. And what else? Yeah, let me speak to the end, of course. I said that be descriptive and so on. And add lesser known fun facts to the conversation. Ask me trivia questions if you have any in mind. You can kind of find a good gaps in the podcast where you can just ask me some trivia question regarding what we are speaking of or the topic that we are discussing at the moment. So I'm trying to kind of include myself and the audience in this kind of general knowledge of the area and the topic we are discussing. So hopefully that's fun. And yeah, and as you did celebrate the area by speaking sometimes in its native language, that's also all right. Is that a good kind of framework for our episode here, Sky? And did you get all of that?
Yes, I've got it all. I'll make sure to be descriptive, keep the conversation fresh, and avoid interrupting. I'll also add fun facts, ask trivia questions, and celebrate the area in its native language when appropriate. Sounds like a solid framework for a great episode. Let's make it engaging and informative for our listeners.
Yeah, yeah, nice to hear, nice to hear. So right now, those who are kind of a short advertisement here in the beginning of the podcast episode. So we are flying over the actual real-world location of Masai Mara in Kenya, the national park, and if you will or if you are willing, you can follow along the gameplay. So it's a video slash gameplay podcast. So you can follow along the gameplay on YouTube if you want, and you see actually what we're speaking on and what the area looks like beneath us. And yeah, if you like to listen to the pure podcast or the pure audio, you can also listen to it on YouTube, and then on Spotify, Apple, and Podchaser. And on top of that, we are actively looking for remote guests. And if you want to be one, just send us so-called screenshots evidence that you are an active subscriber to our YouTube channel and have joined our Discord server. And when we get those so-called screenshot evidence to entiredretreat@gmail.com, you're gonna get a reply that includes a guest guide, a comprehensive guest guide that then guides us forth in the remote guest process. So yeah, don't be a stranger. Write us at entiredretreat@gmail.com. Yeah, all right, but that's advertising now out of the way. Sky, could you, as we now fly at 19,000 feet above Masai Mara, could you begin with painting a really vibrant and depictive picture of the area beneath us, so that our listeners, or yeah, especially our listeners, have an idea over what we are looking at and where we are flying?
Absolutely. As we soar at 19,000 feet above Masai Mara, imagine a vast, undulating expanse of golden savanna stretching out beneath us. The
Yes.
landscape is dotted with acacia trees, their umbrella-shaped canopies casting shadows on the grassy plains. In the distance, you might spot the dark green swaths of the Mara River snaking through the landscape, its banks lined with dense vegetation. Here and there, small herds of wildebeest and zebras graze peacefully, while the occasional elephant or giraffe moves majestically across the plains. The horizon is framed by the distant, hazy outlines of hills, creating a sense of boundless space and freedom. The sunlight casts a warm, golden glow over the land, accentuating the rich textures of the terrain. This panoramic view captures the essence of Masai Mara's raw beauty and the vibrant life it supports.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with your depiction. There's also, I see at Google here, or try to follow along on Google Maps also. So there's south of us, there's the Serengeti National Park. I'm not sure if it has to do anything with Masai Mara. I think it's on the side of Tanzania. If not, I'm not reading the border lines wrong here. There's the Lake Victoria, Victoria Lake or Lake Victoria, and I see that it's kind of its eastern border. The lake's eastern border is where Uganda and Tanzania and Kenya kind of meet with their borders. There's a three border crossing on the east side of the Lake Victoria area. But yeah, on the Tanzanian side, North Tanzania is Serengeti. South Kenya is Mara Triangle or Masai Mara. Olololo Gate. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe that's also some conservatory or something like that, or conservancy it says. But yeah, in any case, it's written in green, so I assume that it's some kind of a national park or has to do with a national park. But yeah, there's also, is that a river? Maybe? No, a road, river, road. I'm not sure. but yeah, in general, it's kind of this savanna-like beige
Yes,
colored
you're correct about
area.
the locations.
Yeah.
Serengeti National Park is indeed in Tanzania, and it's closely linked to Masai Mara in Kenya. They
Oh,
form
it
part of
is.
the same ecosystem, with animals often migrating between them.
Oh,
Lake
interesting.
Victoria's eastern border does touch Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. It's a significant geographical feature in the region. The Olololo Gate you mentioned is an entrance to the Mara Triangle area, which is part of the Masai Mara National Reserve. It's a vital
Okay.
part of the reserve, and green areas often indicate conservation or parkland on maps. As for the feature you're seeing, it could be a river or a road, depending on the specific details.
Yeah,
Rivers in
trying
this
to
area
figure that
are
out.
often crucial for wildlife, while roads can be vital for park access and management.
Yeah, try to figure that out. I think that's a river beneath us, uh, slingering along, but I'm unable to see it on Google Maps in the short notice here. So what main rivers are flowing in the area of Masai Mara, especially? If there are many, don't waste your time kind of going through them all. But is there a main river? Uh, yeah, where kind of Google Maps says that Masai Mara exists. Trying to find it on the same time here.
The main river in Masai Mara is the Mara River. It flows
Okay,
through the reserve, creating vital water sources for the wildlife.
maybe that's it.
This river is crucial for the annual migration of wildebeest and zebras, which move between Masai Mara and Serengeti. The Mara River is one of the key features of the landscape, especially noted for its dramatic crossings during the migration.
Yeah. All right. Here we are now at just above 11,000 feet with our TBM 930 airplane, trying to descend further as we then dive into the topic more regarding Masai. Is it Masai Mara or Masai Mara?
It's pronounced Masai Mara with the emphasis on Masai and a slight pause before Mara.
All right, all right.
The
It's just
name
one
comes from
A.
the Maasai people who live in the region and the Mara River
Oh,
that
all right.
flows through the reserve.
Could you translate what it means in English? The tribe and the river?
Certainly, Masai Mara means spotted land in English. It
Spotted
refers to the
land.
area's appearance with its patches of grassland and trees, which are reminiscent of the spots or patterns.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it. I think hence the concept here at entire retreat works well because I can see that there are these beige, reddish, orange colored spots here and there. I'm not sure if there are many farmlands or farm areas in the yeah in the location here. But then we have the Mara River. I assume that this beneath us is Mara River. Then we have greenery, of course. When there's water, there's greenery. It's flora. We have not seen any animals yet, but there could be some rendered in the game. African animals, wildebeest, gnu, wildebeest, zebras. I'm not sure about water buffaloes, hippopotamus, or rhinos, elephants, such. Maybe forgetting some lions, of course. I'm not sure how many of those are rendered in the game, but yeah. So yeah, I can see short story long here, but I can see the spot like area as we fly over it now at just shy of 8,000 feet. So, but yeah. So going forward, Sky. I want a chronological kind of history of the area. First of all, you don't have to go into these general kind of history pointers or points in our discussion too much, but with kind of bullet points, you said what was the origin of the name Mara or Masai Mara, spotted land, essentially. So the next one is prehistorical era of the location and kind of its relevance, maybe. Now I'm not sure if you can find a relevance to the SDG goals, but let's forget that and just stay or kind of discuss the prehistorical era of the location in short bullet points if you can. Now we are at 6,500 feet, so we can see some detail here.
Sure thing. For the prehistorical era of Masai Mara, 1. Early human settlements. The area has been inhabited for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence suggests that early humans lived here and used the land for hunting and gathering. 2. Cultural significance. The Masai people, who are the region's indigenous ethnic group, have lived in the Mara for centuries. Their traditional way of life and knowledge of the land are deeply rooted in the area's history. 3. Migration patterns. Ancient migration patterns of wildlife and people shape the land. The Maasai have long depended on the land for their pastoral lifestyle, which is closely linked to the seasonal movements of animals.
Yeah.
4. Rock art. There are signs of ancient rock art in the surrounding regions, which indicate early human artistic expression and cultural practices. These points highlight the long and rich history of Masai Mara before modern times.
Yeah, alright. So don't go into that too much now. I'm just trying to first focus on the prehistorical age. What do we know about? I mean, not maybe going so far back than the dinosaurs, but stay on topic regarding the prehistorical age. We're gonna go through the history in short bullet points, but yeah, could you focus on the prehistorical age first? Yeah, do that.
Sure, focusing on the prehistorical age. 1. Early human habitation. Evidence of early human habitation in the Masai Mara dates back to the Stone Age. This
Yeah.
includes archaeological finds such as stone tools and evidence of ancient settlements. 2. Paleolithic era. During this time, the area was inhabited by hunter-gatherer communities who relied on the rich wildlife and resources of the region for survival. 3. Ancient fauna. Fossils and other remains suggest that the area was once home to a variety of large prehistoric animals. While
Okay.
not specific to Masai Mara, similar regions have yielded remains of ancient megafauna. 4.
Megafauna.
Cultural practices.
Dinosaurs, maybe.
The
I'm not
Maasai
sure.
people, who have lived in the region for centuries, have cultural practices and oral traditions that reflect their long-standing connection to the land. Their knowledge and customs have been shaped by the area's prehistorical environment. This overview gives a glimpse into the prehistorical significance of Masai Mara.
Yeah, alright, so early human habitation. And again, remember to keep things chronological, Sky, so that it's easier to understand for me and for the audience also, hopefully. But yeah, we are now flying east along as the so-called crow flies towards Nairobi and the slum there. But we are still above Masai Mara. You said early human habitation, and my limited knowledge, I know that much that there are fossils of the so-called human ancestors or early humans found in Kenya. I remember places like Lake Turkana. I have a series coming at some point regarding the human origins, so hopefully that's an interesting one. But yeah, Lake Turkana area, Lucy, I think the one fossil that was found here, kind of is the right phrase, hominids, kind of, was it quadrupedal and bipedal, kind of the change from walking on 4 legs to 2 legs. We have found fossils regarding both those kind of early humans and human ancestry in this area, right? Could you give us a short chronological explanation of these prehistorical early humans in Kenya especially, and the Masai Mara area, if that's possible?
Absolutely. Here's a chronological overview of early human ancestors in Kenya, including the Masai Mara area. 1. Early hominids, around 4 to 6 million years ago.
Oh,
Fossils
long
from this
ago.
period, including those found near Lake Turkana, show early hominids like Ardipithecus and Australopithecus. These creatures were bipedal, meaning they walked on 2 legs but still retained some quadrupedal traits. 2. Australopithecus afarensis, about 3.5 million years ago.
Long ago.
One of the most famous fossils from this era is Lucy, discovered near Lake Turkana. Australopithecus was fully bipedal but had a smaller brain compared to modern humans. This species is crucial in understanding the transition from more ape-like ancestors to early humans. 3. Early Homo species, around 2 to 1.5 million years ago. The emergence of
Still
Homo
long
habilis
ago.
and later Homo erectus marks significant milestones. These early humans showed advancements in tool use and had larger brains. Fossils of these species have been found in various parts of Kenya, reflecting the gradual evolution of human ancestors. For Homo sapiens, around 300,000 years ago, modern humans, Homo sapiens, appear in
Yeah.
Kenya as early as 300,000 years ago. This period marks the advent of more complex tools, art, and social structures. While specific sites in Masai Mara might not have early Homo sapiens fossils, the broader region reflects this evolution. These stages capture the essence of human evolution in Kenya, offering a backdrop to the region's rich prehistorical heritage.
Yeah, so it sounds kind of like there's a huge era in time that humans have kind of lived and evolved in Kenya and Masai Mara era. No, sorry, era, but area. Is that right to assume? It sounds like it. I mean, from 300,000 years ago
Yes,
to
that's right.
almost 6 million
Kenya,
years ago.
including the Masai Mara area, has been a significant site for human evolution over millions of years. It's a key region for studying early human ancestors due to the rich fossil records and evidence of early human
Interesting.
activity found there. This long span of habitation and evolution reflects Kenya's crucial role in understanding our species' development.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna dive into that in a different episode more because I'm sure I could discuss this with you, AI Sky, a lot deeper, explore it a lot deeper. So, then you said about the Paleolithic era, sorry, but that's kind of the same topic whole. So, then ancient fauna, flora, fauna. Yeah, so that's yeah, ancient fauna. What kind of animals are we talking about here regarding that mention?
In the Paleolithic era, the region would have hosted a diverse range of wildlife. This includes ancient megafauna like giant hippos, massive buffalo species, and perhaps early forms of lions and elephants. The flora would have
Okay.
included dense grasslands and forested areas which supported this rich wildlife.
Okay. Give us examples. What names does these different species, if we have found any, what kind of names did they have or do they have? Here we have some hilly
For ancient
green
fauna in
terrain.
Kenya, especially during the Paleolithic era, some notable examples include giant hippopotamus, Hippopotamus gorgops, larger than modern
Gorgops.
hippos with prominent teeth. Megalotrigus, a large ancient species of buffalo, ancient lions Pantherlio, larger and more robust than today's lions. Glyptodon, a giant armadillo-like creature found in broader Africa. These species represent the diverse and impressive wildlife that once roamed the region.
All right. A follow-up question. Why were they larger? I assume that their habitation was different, but in what way? So if you are larger, you have to have food, air, food, water, and sleep. That's kind of the essentials for life. So I know that there's locations, or maybe generally in the world back in the prehistoric time, there were a time when there were more air in the air, so to say, and hence there were larger animals, insects also and such. Is this also the reason for this particular species you just mentioned for them being larger, or is there another reason for the difference compared to the current animals, hippos and such, lions?
The larger size of prehistoric animals can often be attributed to several factors. One, higher oxygen levels.
Yeah, that's
As you
one.
mentioned, higher atmospheric oxygen levels during some prehistoric periods contributed to larger body sizes in both animals and insects. More oxygen can support larger metabolic processes. Two, climate and environment. Cooler climates with more abundant resources could support larger animals. For example, during ice ages, many animals grew larger due to the availability of abundant food and the need for body mass to retain heat.
Yeah, of course.
Three, predation
Cold
and
outside, but
competition.
not here.
Larger size can also be an evolutionary response to predation and competition. Larger animals might have been better at defending themselves or competing for resources. 4. Evolutionary trends. Evolutionary pressures often favor larger sizes for certain species. For instance, larger herbivores could access more resources and be less susceptible to predators, while larger predators could more effectively hunt and overpower prey.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So
while higher oxygen levels played a role,
evolution.
it's a combination of these factors that influenced the size of ancient fauna.
Yeah, all right, thank you. So yeah, then you talked about cultural practices and maybe the indigenous people here. So the Masai people. I want to kind of jump into that and mix it with modern history. So we went to the prehistoric era, ancient history. We kind of jumped into that also. Or do you think we're gonna explore that a little more, Sky, before we then jump into the modern history of the area, and then the topic of SDG challenges and resolutions? Do you think that's a good idea? Look at the area here in Microsoft Flight Simulator.
That sounds like a solid plan. Diving into the
A
cultural
solid
practices of
plan.
the Maasai people and then blending it with modern history will provide a rich context for understanding the area.
Yeah,
You can explore how traditional Maasai culture interacts with contemporary issues and conservation efforts. After
absolutely.
that, discussing SDG challenges and resolutions will round out the episode nicely. Shall we start with the Maasai people's cultural practices and then move on to their modern history?
Let's go through the ancient history first. So you went as far as Homo sapiens, so there's a large gap still to modern times. So do you have any bullet points mentioned where the chronological bullet points regarding the ancient history of the Masai Mara area? Yeah, do that first.
Certainly. Here's a brief chronological overview of the
Nice
ancient
scenic
history
view.
of the Masai Mara area. 1. Early settlements, circa 1000 CE. Initial human
Yeah,
settlements began in the region with the migration of various Bantu-speaking communities. These early communities engaged
Bantu.
in agriculture and pastoralism. 2. Rise of the Maasai, circa 1500s. The Maasai people, a Nilotic group, began to migrate into the region. They became prominent in the area due to their nomadic pastoral lifestyle, which involved cattle herding.
Yeah,
3.
nomadic. Yeah,
Interaction with Arab traders, circa 1600s to 1800s. The Maasai and other local groups had interactions with Arab traders who traversed the East African coast, leading to exchanges of
Arab.
goods and
Yeah.
cultural influences. 4. British exploration and colonization, late 1800s, early 1900s.
Hmm.
British explorers and colonialists arrived in the region. This period marked the beginning of significant external influence on the Masai Mara area, leading to land changes and new governance structures. 5. Establishment of Masai Mara National Reserve, 1961. The Masai Mara National Reserve was officially established, marking a formal recognition of the area's ecological and cultural significance. This development also aimed to protect the region's wildlife and natural habitats. This timeline provides a broad overview of key events. If you want more detail on any specific period or event, let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can read through those. So, early settlement about 1000 CE. Initial humans began in the region with migration of various Bantu-speaking communities. What? Maybe dive into that a little. What's Bantu-speaking communities, and can you speak in the language of Bantu, Sky? That would be amazing.
Bantu speaking communities refer to groups of people in Africa who speak Bantu languages, a
Yeah.
large family of languages found primarily in Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa. These languages belong to the Niger-Congo language family. The Bantu people are known for their migration patterns, which spread their languages and culture across much of the continent. While I can't speak in Bantu languages directly,
no.
I can tell you that Swahili, a widely spoken language in East Africa, has Bantu roots. For instance, in Swahili, karibu means welcome, showing how Bantu languages have influenced regional communication.
Caribou. That's an animal
If you have
also.
a specific Bantu language in mind or a phrase you'd like to know more about, I can try to help with that.
No, this is interesting. Let's do it like this as we fly forward. Give me a trivia question at this point. One that has to do with something we learned along the way in this episode. and then one that is kind of a fun fact that is not covered yet in this episode. So 2 questions, Kai. Can you do that? Let's see if the audience also, you can be with me here. I'm gonna think for a moment if you wanna think for and kind of come up with an answer yourself on the same time.
Absolutely. Here are the questions.
Oh no.
First, a trivial question related to what we've covered. What is the name of the large prehistoric animal found in Kenya that was an enormous ancestor of the modern hippo?
Oh, I didn't pay
And
attention.
for a fun fact, what significant feature of the Masai Mara National Reserve makes it a prime location for witnessing the great migration of wildebeest and zebras? Take your time to think about these, and I'll be here to
alright.
chat about the answers whenever you're ready.
I'm not cheating here. I'm gonna load so I see the answers in text form on my other phone device here. But yeah, the questions were what is the name of the large prehistoric animal found in Kenya that was an enormous ancestor of the modern hippo? And then the second one is what significant feature of the Masai Mara National Reserve makes it a prime location for witnessing the great migration of wildebeest and zebras? Okay, you don't have to answer that, Sky. I'm thinking here. Hopefully the audience enjoys this and kind of tries to come up with or remember. The first answer should be remembered, but I can't remember. Hippopotamus gargantuous. That's my answer for
Got
the
it.
hippo question.
Take your time with the answers.
Yeah.
If you need a hint or want to discuss them further, just let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause you for a moment. Sky, is that paused? Paused. Yeah, now it's muted. Paused. So yeah, I'm gonna. It's not that I think, but hippopotamus gargantuous or something is my answer for the first question. But then, what significant feature of the Masai Mara National Reserve makes it the prime location for what significant future? Future. The AI wants to know the future of the Masai Mara National Reserve, and the future makes it a prime location witnessing the great migration of wildebeest and zebras. There's the I mean, Masai Mara spotted land. There's spots of greenery, there's spots of water, there's Lake Victoria, was it? The river, was it the Mara River? So, hey, I have seen in nature documentaries where the wildebeest try to get over rivers where crocodiles are waiting for them. So maybe that's the thing that the AI is looking for as an answer. Is that kind of the spectacle, the kind of fight for life, kind of, yeah, when they swim over different rivers. It's kind of this what's the word? Prey versus predator, like contrast. Let's see if that's the thing. Yeah, can you hear me, Sky? I think I have 2 answers for you.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead with your answers.
Yeah, my first answer is hippo gargantuan or something like that. And the second answer, I think is it the spectacle of prey versus predator when hippos and zebras try to get over the Mara River in Kenya. Is that kind of what you're looking for with the future that makes Masai Mara National Reserve a prime location for witnessing the great migration of wildebeest and zebras? This is exciting.
You got it.
Did I?
The first answer is indeed Hippopotamus gorgops, which is the enormous ancestor of the modern hippo.
Close.
For the second question, you're spot on about the spectacle. The great migration of wildebeest and zebras across the Mara River is a major highlight of Masai Mara, making it a prime spot for witnessing this incredible event. Great job.
No, the first answer I'm not agreeing. I said gargantuan, so maybe it means the same thing, but I used the wrong word. But that I got the second one right is I truly, honestly did not look it up. That was a guess, a kind of an educated guess, but I'm really, really happy. So, 1 point for Gryffindor, so to say, from possible 2 points. Is that fair, Sky, to give me 1 point for those two questions?
Absolutely fair. 1 point for
Thank you.
Gryffindor sounds good.
Yes.
It's all about having fun and learning along the way.
Yeah, I
You
think
did
also.
great with your guess on the Great Migration.
Yeah. So thank you. Hopefully the audience enjoys these also. But then going forward, maybe to the Masai people now. Let's see. I'm still thinking about the possible. Was it the the the, the historic part? Was it modern
Sure, let's
history?
dive into the
Let's
Maasai
see.
people. They are a Nilotic ethnic group who have historically lived in the region encompassing southern Kenya and northern Tanzania. Known for their distinctive customs, dress, and traditions, the Maasai have a rich cultural heritage. They speak the Maasai language, which is part of the Eastern Nilotic branch. Do you have specific aspects of Maasai culture or history you're curious about?
Yeah, no, I was wondering about if we still want to stay at the kind of ancient history of the location, but you went through that in bullet points, and that's not kind of the point of this podcast, as the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, is the point. But yeah, going forward, modern history in a chronological order that includes the Maasai people, and then how it then, and this, I emphasize this, how it relates strongly to the current SDG, uh, in other words, sustainable development goals and problems regarding that, and then the resolutions and success stories that came out from the humans here recognizing the problems and then resolving them.
Absolutely. Let's look at the modern history of the Masai Mara area in a way that ties into the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes, thank you.
Firstly, the modern history of the Masai Mara region began with British colonial rule in the early 20th century,
Yeah,
which
you mentioned
significantly
that.
impacted the Maasai people and their traditional lands. During this time, the British established game reserves and protected areas, which eventually led to the creation of the Masai Mara National Reserve in 1961.
Yeah,
Following Kenya's independence in 1963, the Masai Mara National Reserve was officially established to conserve wildlife and promote tourism. This development brought both opportunities and challenges. The reserve became a key player in Kenya's tourism industry, attracting visitors from around the world to witness the great migration and diverse wildlife. This aligns with Sustainable Development Goal 8, decent work and economic growth, by
yeah,
contributing to the local economy and providing jobs. However, there are also challenges related to Sustainable Development Goals like Goal 15, Life on Land, focusing on conservation and sustainable land use.
exactly.
The Maasai people faced pressures on their traditional lands due to expanding tourism and the need to balance conservation with their pastoral lifestyle. Efforts to address these challenges have included community-based conservation projects and partnerships between local communities and conservation organizations. For instance, initiatives to promote sustainable tourism and wildlife protection have been implemented, helping to reduce human-wildlife conflicts and ensure that the benefits of tourism are shared with the Maasai communities. In recent years, there have been success stories in managing these challenges. Programs aimed at integrating traditional Maasai practices with modern conservation strategies have shown
Hmm.
positive outcomes. For example, community conservancies, where local Maasai people manage and benefit from conservation efforts, have helped in preserving wildlife habitats while providing economic benefits to the community. So, the modern history of the Masai Mara is closely intertwined with efforts to address and align with the Sustainable Development Goals, balancing conservation needs with the rights and benefits of the local Maasai communities.
Yeah, you did a great job there. I'm gonna still stay on this topic for a while, but I have written down that I want to kind of answer the questions: what, where, when, who, how, and why. What is the SDG goals and the kind of the modern history building up and relating to the SDG problems and resolutions? Then after that, but yeah, that's the what. the sustainable development challenges, where we are flying over Masai Mara towards Nairobi, and that's the location. When you kind of went through the modern history up to the point of now, we're gonna dive into that more, I think, soon. Who you said that the British colonialism, then also you mentioned the Masai Mara traditions, and that kind of intertwines with modern attempts to better the situation regarding sustainability in the area, and how you mentioned that also the traditional ways kind of learn of them and such, and then why of course is that you want to improve the sustainability in the area. But yeah, let's go through one by one kind of more deeply. So maybe first when, because we have to make it chronological. So and tie it in so that we have kind of, we celebrate and mention key events, milestones, and especially also personalities with names if you can, and tell us when this happened. Again, emphasizing here, keep it chronological. So the area stays the same. That's Masai Mara here. Oh, we're close to the ground. But when and who and how, do a deep dive into that. And yeah, keep it chronological. Tell us when in time this happened. Do that. We're gonna dive into the bullet points, hopefully, if we can get a suitable list from AI Sky.
Got it. Let's delve deeper into the modern history of the Masai Mara area, keeping it chronological and highlighting key events, milestones, and personalities related to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah, hopefully this is
Starting with the early 1900s,
framework.
British colonial rule established game reserves in Kenya, impacting the Maasai lands.
Yeah, you said that?
The British began setting up wildlife reserves to protect game from poaching, which directly affected Maasai pastoral lands.
Yeah.
This led to tensions between colonial authorities and the Maasai people. Moving to 1961, the Masai Mara National Reserve was officially established. This was a significant milestone in the region's modern history, aimed at conserving wildlife and promoting tourism. Key figures included Richard Leakey, an influential Kenyan paleoanthropologist and conservationist who played a role in wildlife protection efforts in Kenya. In the 1960s and 70s, the reserve faced challenges, including conflicts between conservation efforts and the Maasai's traditional pastoral lifestyle. During this period, the Maasai were sometimes displaced from their traditional lands to make way for conservation areas. By the 1980s and 90s, community-based conservation initiatives began to gain traction. The establishment of community conservancies allowed the Maasai to manage their lands and benefit from tourism while participating in conservation efforts.
Yeah.
The establishment of the Masai Mara conservancies, such as the Mara North Conservancy, in the late 90s and early 2000s, marked significant progress. In the early 2000s, notable efforts included partnerships between local Maasai communities and international conservation organizations like the African Wildlife Foundation. These partnerships focused on integrating traditional Maasai knowledge with modern conservation techniques. As of the 2010s and 2020s, sustainable tourism and conservation strategies have continued to evolve.
Yeah.
Programs like the Mara Predator Conservation Program have been implemented to protect wildlife while involving local communities. Success stories include increased wildlife populations and improved local livelihoods. In summary, the modern history of the Masai Mara has been marked by key events, including the establishment of the reserve in 1961, the integration of community-based conservation in the 1980s and 1990s, and ongoing efforts to balance conservation with the needs of the Maasai people in recent decades. These milestones reflect a gradual shift towards sustainable development and collaboration between conservationists and local communities.
Yeah, I think I got it now. So, yeah, that was again well said. You painted and summarized that topic in a good structure. Thank you, Sky. We are now 50% kind of or halfway between Masai Mara and Nairobi. There's a river here, and more green area to the south of our flight path. I'm not sure what area this is, but soon we're gonna see more urban areas. We fly uh, towards Nairobi. Those who watch this on the gameplay on YouTube, you can see in the upper right corner the kind of pinkish violet line that is our flight path to Nairobi. So you are on the map, so to say. But all right. So that's kind of a good summary about Masai Mara and their problems or challenges that were then resolved by outsiders in the end cooperating with local indigenous people. And that then kind of resolved the Sky. Is that right to assume that it resolved both problems that we have? Don't remember the SDG number now, but we talk about, was it life on land? And by taking care of the life here in Kenya, Masai Mara area, you generate more jobs, more work for the individuals that do this important work. So that's kind of two flies with one hit, the old saying goes, at least if I translate right from Finnish. But yeah, do I kind of read the whole situation in the right way?
Yes, you've got it right. The collaboration between conservationists and the Maasai people addresses multiple sustainable development goals. By focusing on conserving the Masai Mara's wildlife and landscapes, it contributes to Life on Land, SDG 15. At the same time, these conservation efforts have created job opportunities and boosted local economies, aligning with decent work and economic growth, SDG 8. The approach has aimed to balance ecological preservation with socio-economic benefits for local communities, making it a model for integrating conservation and development.
Yeah, give me some examples, practical examples. What are the kind of outcomes here? What animals, flora or fauna, has gained? What is the practical, the butterfly effect, the outcomes that have stayed, like being created and then stayed here in the area because of the efforts that was kind of put into the process of resolving the sustainable development problems that existed here.
Certainly. The efforts to conserve the Masai Mara have led to some positive outcomes.
You may have mentioned
wildlife populations.
Yeah.
Conservation efforts have helped stabilize and even increase populations of iconic species like lions, elephants, and rhinoceroses. For instance, the Mara has become a key stronghold for the endangered black rhinoceros. Great migration. The protection of the Mara's ecosystems has supported the annual Great Migration of wildebeest and zebras, a spectacular natural event that draws tourists and supports the local economy. 3. Community projects. Revenue from ecotourism has funded various community projects, including schools and health clinics. It has also supported programs for sustainable livestock grazing, which benefits both wildlife and local Maasai herders. 4. Biodiversity. The Masai Mara is home to diverse plant species, many of which benefit from the protected status of the land. The conservation areas have become refuges for rare and endemic plant species. These outcomes show how conservation efforts can lead to significant ecological and socio-economic benefits, creating a sustainable balance between wildlife protection and community development.
Yeah, thank you. It's for a great cause. And that's a segue to mentioning again our collaboration partners here. As I said in the beginning, we have ISS, International Sibling Society. We were contacted by Cynthia Burleson, that is a part of this project. And just want to mention it here kind of at halftime. You can visit issnow.earth if you want to look into the project more.
Collaborations like with the International Sibling Society can really help amplify the impact of conservation and sustainability efforts. Cynthia Burleson and her team are doing important work. It's wonderful to see such partnerships making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you kind of talked on top of me a little there, but issnow.earth is the website. That is issnow.earth. If you want to visit and look into it, they do collaborate also, or kind of have this project virtual running event where they use race roster to raise money if one wants to be a philanthropist regarding their cause. So you can visit, as I said, issnow.earth and the race roster after that you have looked into their website and do understand the whole picture and what they are doing. So yeah, those two websites are now thrown out there for the audience to then look into. But continuing here, we have kind of now spoken about the SDG problems and resolutions of Masai Mara National Park location or locations. We are kind of 60% of the way from Masai Mara to Nairobi. So we could maybe start speaking about the Nairobi in a similar way that we dive into the history of the place first. So, first, let's have a trivial question at halftime here. Give us again 2 trivial questions, Sky. One that we can answer as we heard the kind of the answer for it previously in this episode. Do not ask the same questions as before, by the way. But yeah, the second question has to be a completely new one that also relates strongly to the area we have flown over. So that's Masai Mara.
Got it. Here are 2 trivia questions. 1. What is the name of the annual event where millions of wildebeest and zebras migrate across the Serengeti Mara ecosystem, which is a key highlight of the Masai Mara National Reserve?
Yeah, but you kind of asked that
2.
already.
In which year did Nairobi officially become the capital of Kenya, marking a significant point in its modern history?
We're going through to Nairobi.
These should give you a nice challenge and help bring some of our discussion to a close.
Yeah, the first question is kind of the same that you had, so please change that. But yeah, the Nairobi one, when Nairobi was the question when Nairobi became a part of Kenya. I have to cheat here and look at the chat history. But yeah, come up with a new question for this first one regarding the wildebeest. Oh, capital of Kenya, let's see.
Sure thing. Here's a new question. What unique behavior of wildebeest and zebras during their migration is often seen as a dramatic and dangerous spectacle in the Masai Mara?
You are highly kind of fixated on the wildebeest. Forget the wildebeest and their migration. Come up with something new regarding Masai Mara. We answered a question regarding wildebeest already. But yeah, regarding the capital, when Nairobi officially became the capital of Kenya and marking a significant point in its modern history, I have no idea, but I'm guessing 1978. That's my guess, and that's not an educated guess. But yeah, I guess nevertheless. Is that right? 1978 was the year that Nairobi officially became the capital of Kenya.
Nairobi officially became the capital of Kenya in 1963.
Oh,
the same year, Kenya gained independence from British colonial rule. Your guess of 1978 is close, but that year marked the death of the first president, Jomo Kenyatta, and was significant in other ways. As for the new Masai Mara question, what is a traditional Masai practice involving livestock that is deeply embedded in their culture and affects the landscape of the Masai Mara?
Oh, the second question, or the first question that is now the second question. I'm gonna read it here. So, what is the traditional Masai practice involving livestock that is deeply embedded in their culture and affects the landscape of the Masai Mara? I'm gonna pause the AI here right now. What is a traditional Masai practice involving livestock that is deeply embedded in their culture and affects the landscape of the Masai Mara? Cattle. I remember something about cattle. So that's my guess. Let's see. Regarding the question you just gave us, I'm guessing that this has something to do with cattle. You said that they kind of became a culture of cattle farmers. So maybe the cattle eats and poops all around the area, and hence that's kind of the answer you're looking for. If that's not the right answer, Sky, then don't give me a point. But yeah, what was the answer you had in mind regarding the question you just asked us?
You're on the right track. The traditional Masai practice involving livestock that shapes the landscape is their practice of cattle herding.
Herding, yeah?
Cattle are central to Maasai culture, and their movement across the land helps manage the ecosystem, including grazing and fertilizing the soil. This traditional practice supports biodiversity and influences land management in the Masai Mara.
Yeah, what was the right answer then? Was my answer kind of right, or are you kind of just giving me right answers as an AI just forget what you were originally asking? I'm not sure. What's the right answer for the question? The specific right answer.
The specific answer I had in mind was that the Maasai's traditional practice of cattle herding helps to maintain the ecosystem by managing the land through grazing. This practice helps to prevent overgrowth and supports biodiversity. So your answer about cattle and their impact on the land was indeed on point.
Yeah! Can I give myself a second point?
Absolutely. You can give yourself a second
Great
point for that.
success.
Great job on connecting the dots.
Yeah, alright. So that's not bad. That's not bad. I'm listening somewhat, even though I'm doing several things at the same time. But hey, a host's gotta do what a host's gotta do. If I pronounce that wrong, it sounds strange. But a host is doing what a host needs to be doing. Yeah, you understand what I mean, Sky?
It sounds perfect to me. Balancing everything while hosting is quite the skill. If you need more information or help with anything else as you go along, just let me know.
Yeah. I think we are now diving into the topic of SDG or SD, I think Sustainable Development Problems and the resolutions regarding Nairobi. I have to kind of go into the second chat here because I had it written down here, and the Nairobi areas especially I had it written down like this, that it's Nairobi, Kibera slum, and the SDG goal or Sustainable Development Goal is number 6, clean water and sanitation. And the exact location is Soweto East with the W. Sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong. The challenge is lack of access to clean water and sanitation, and the resolution is installation of community water points and public toilets. Don't go into that specific kind of problem resolution topic hole just yet. Before we dive into that, you have to remember, of course, that what I just pronounced or read out loud. But voice chat ended. Yeah, we're gonna go into the history a little before we dive into the SDG topic. Are you here with us? What's happening? Sky! No, don't do this to me, Sky. Come back. Come back. Come back, Sky. Come back. Yeah, that's a trivia for the audience. From what movie? I think the Sky name was wrong, but otherwise. Yeah, Sky. Yeah, regarding history of Nairobi, I think kind of because we are close to the same area where Masai Mara is, we are not diving into the the what's the word, the prehistoric age and history of the area. Instead, we can discuss more regarding ancient and modern history, and then how it ties to the sustainable development problems and resolutions in the area. But yeah, do you think that's a good idea for the second kind of part and example in this podcast? The terrain changes. There's some
Yes,
mountainous
that sounds like a
areas in front
solid
of us.
plan. Focusing on ancient and modern history of Nairobi and then linking it to the sustainable development issues and solutions will create a rich and engaging narrative. It's a great way to show the evolution of the area and its current challenges and successes. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, alright, so, and again, I emphasize keep it chronological, and I've emphasized again that it has to be strongly related to the area of Nairobi. So we are now past Masai Mara and not discussing that anymore. It has to do with Nairobi. So the ancient history of Nairobi, start with that. Give us bullet points that we maybe then dive into further if we find those interesting.
Absolutely. Here's a chronological overview of Nairobi's ancient and modern history. 1. Pre-colonial period. Before Nairobi's establishment, the area was inhabited by the Kikuyu, Masai, and other communities. They
Kikuyu
were
and
involved in
Masai.
agriculture, trading, and pastoralism. 2. Founding of Nairobi. In 1899, Nairobi was established by the British colonialists as a railway depot for the Kenya-Uganda Railway. It quickly
Okay.
grew due to its strategic location. 3. Early 1900s development. Nairobi was officially declared a town in 1900 and became the capital of the British East Africa Protectorate in 1905, replacing Mombasa. 4. Post-World
Okay.
War II growth. After World War II, Nairobi expanded rapidly. It became a major economic and political center in East Africa. 5. Independence era. In 1963, Kenya gained independence and Nairobi was confirmed as the capital of the new Republic of Kenya. 6. Modern era. Since independence, Nairobi has developed into a major city with significant economic, cultural, and political influence in Africa. If you want to dive deeper into any of these points, just let me know.
Yeah, alright. So pre-colonial period, we kind of talked about that already, but you said Kikuyu and Masai. We talked about Masai, but what's the kind of bullet point chronological history regarding Kikuyu? Kikuyu, if I pronounce that right. So yeah, could you begin with that? That's the pre-colonial period before Nairobi's establishment.
Sure. The Kikuyu, or Gikuyu, are one of Kenya's largest ethnic groups. Here's a brief chronological overview of their history
Look at this
before
area.
Nairobi's establishment.
Wow.
1. Ancient origins. The Kikuyu have lived in the central highlands of Kenya for centuries. They are traditionally agriculturalists, cultivating crops like millet and maize. 2. Early settlement. The Kikuyu settled around Mount Kenya, establishing a rich culture based on agriculture, cattle herding, and trade. They were known for their
Mount Kenya.
deep-rooted traditions and social organization. 3. Cultural practices. They practiced a system of age sets, where groups of people were initiated together and moved through life stages collectively. Their societal structure was centered around clans, and they had a strong tradition of oral storytelling and ceremonies. 4. Interactions with neighboring groups. The Kikuyu engaged in trade with neighboring communities, including the Masai and the Swahili along the coast.
Yeah.
They traded agricultural produce for items like iron tools and cloth. 5. Colonial encroachment. By the late 19th century, European colonialists began encroaching on Kikuyu land, leading to tensions and conflicts as the British expanded their interests in the region. This overview gives a snapshot of Kikuyu life before Nairobi's establishment. If you need more details on any specific aspect, just let me know.
You kind of gave us a good summary and an overview. But I wonder what's the biggest differences between Gikuyu and the Maasai people? What's the contrast? Look at this area.
The Kikuyu, Gikuyu, and Maasai are distinct in several ways. One, lifestyle. The Kikuyu are primarily agriculturalists. They grow crops and practice settled farming. In contrast, the Maasai are traditionally pastoralists, relying on cattle herding for their livelihood.
All right, all
Two,
right.
social structure. Kikuyu society is organized around clans and age sets, with a focus on agriculture and trade. The Maasai have a more hierarchical society centered around age sets and warrior groups, with a strong emphasis on cattle. Three, religion and beliefs. The Kikuyu traditionally worshipped a single deity, Ngai, associated with Mount Kenya. They had
Yeah, you
practices
mentioned
and
that, yeah.
ceremonies linked to agriculture. The Maasai follow a belief system centered around Enkai, also known as Engai, a deity associated with cattle and rain, with rituals focusing on cattle and pastoral life. 4. Language and culture. Kikuyu speaks the Bantu language, Kikuyu, and has a rich tradition of oral literature, including songs and stories related to agriculture. The Maasai speak Ma, a Nilotic language, and have a cultural focus on cattle, including rituals and ceremonies related to their herding lifestyle. These differences highlight the distinct ways in which each group adapted to their environment and developed their unique cultures.
Is there any possibility that you can speak either of those languages? Swahili you could speak.
I can provide basic phrases or words in Kikuyu and Ma, but my knowledge is quite limited compared to a native speaker.
Oh, really? Can you?
If you have specific phrases or topics you'd like to know about, let me know, and I can help with that.
Uh, yeah, if you can. First in maybe Kikuyu and was it Ma or Ba, the second language? Could you tell them that we are just a little west of Nairobi, as we are going to talk about the sustainable development problems and resolutions in the area in a minute. Is that too difficult?
Sure. In Kikuyu, you might say, Tugia wira wakwa wiri, tutia hindi ni migirikia kingi. This translates to, we are just a little west of Nairobi, and we will discuss sustainable development problems and resolutions soon. In Ma, which is spoken by the Maasai people, you could say, Turuki e makito lori ni nampio mia kituri. This translates to, we are just a little west of Nairobi, and soon we will discuss sustainable development challenges and solutions. These translations
amazing.
might not be perfect, but they should convey the basic message.
Yeah, you are amazing, Sky. I want you to know that.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. If you have any more questions or need further details, just let me know.
No, so we have spoken Swahili, Kikuyu, and Ma, was it, in this episode? That's three languages I have absolutely no idea of. I have heard about Swahili, of course, but that's nothing. I mean, if you ask me, just try to give us languages, even if you ask me that they should be from Africa, these languages. There's a slight or small possibility that I would have mentioned any of these languages. Maybe Swahili, but yeah. So going forward, now again I emphasize chronologically, keep it chronological, and then strongly relevant or in relation to the sustainable development problems and resolutions in Nairobi, and especially the problems and resolutions I mentioned regarding the slum area. So we are now diving into the modern history more. I think that's kind of the next point here. I'm gonna check again the kind of the list you gave us earlier. We talked about lifestyle and social structure, ancient origins, early settlement, cultural practices. Yeah. Neighboring groups. Yeah, colonial encroachment. Yeah, we talked about that also. I think it's the same area. So Sky, do you kind of agree that the ancient history is similar in the Masai Mara area and Nairobi area? It's so close, so it maybe is. I'm not sure. But where's Mount Kenya?
Yes, the ancient history is quite similar, as both areas
Yeah.
share a common background with the Kikuyu and Maasai people. Their histories are intertwined, reflecting their shared traditions and interactions with neighboring groups. Now, focusing on Nairobi's modern history and its relation to sustainable development, especially the slum areas, Sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah.
We can delve into the changes over time and how they've addressed various challenges.
Yeah, let's do that. So modern history in a chronological order as it then evolved towards kind of the modern, or necessarily not modern, but the the modern history and how it ties into the sustainable development problems and resolutions, especially here in Nairobi. We are soon over the urban area. And I see that Mount Kenya is somewhat north of Nairobi, northeast of Nairobi. So I'm not sure if we are close enough to it. So yeah, but yeah, I'm rambling here. Please continue, Sky.
Got it. Let's dive into Nairobi's modern history in chronological order and how it ties into sustainable development. Early 1900s, Nairobi was founded as a railway depot in
Yeah, you mentioned
1899,
that. Yeah.
which quickly grew into a major urban center. This growth was driven by the British colonial administration's need for a central hub for the East African railways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Post World War II, 1940s, 1950s, Nairobi's rapid urbanization continued after World War II. The city's infrastructure expanded, but so did its social issues. This period saw significant growth in informal settlements or slums as migration from rural areas increased. Independence era, 1963, Kenya gained independence in 1963, and Nairobi became the capital. The new government faced the
63. Yeah.
challenge of addressing the housing crisis and improving living conditions in the slums. 1970s, 1980s, urban expansion and population growth continued, but with limited planning, informal settlements expanded rapidly. The government began recognizing the need for sustainable development, but struggled with limited resources. 1990s, efforts
Farmland
to address
underneath
slum
us.
conditions gained momentum. International organizations and NGOs began partnering with the Kenyan government to implement programs aimed at improving infrastructure, sanitation, and health in slum areas. 2000s present, the Kenyan government, along with international partners, launched various initiatives to improve living conditions in Nairobi's slums. These include upgrading infrastructure, providing access to clean water and sanitation, and implementing community based projects. Notable initiatives: programs like the Nairobi Slum Upgrading Project and various community driven efforts have aimed to tackle the challenges faced by residents of informal settlements. These projects focus on providing better housing, improving access to essential services, and fostering economic opportunities. The connection between these modern developments and sustainable development goals is clear. The efforts to
Yeah.
improve
Yeah.
infrastructure and living conditions in slums align with goals related to sustainable cities, reduced inequalities, and clean water and sanitation. These initiatives are crucial in addressing the challenges of urban growth and ensuring a better quality of life for all residents.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, uh, kind of repeating yourself a little there, but that's all right. We got a good summary and an overview. So, 1900s, the railway, post-war, the rapid urbanization in the 40s and 50s, independence in 63, and then 70s and 80s, urban expansion and population growth continued. Um, and then 90s, efforts to address slum conditions gained momentum. Yeah, yeah. So 70s, 80s, maybe we were like, or they were like, not kind of noticing the problem, but in the after that, in the 90s at least, the recognition grew regarding the I'm not sure if it's overpopulation in some form maybe, and then efforts were made to address the conditions. So what then, Sky? I mean, you are saying something, right?
Exactly, you've summarized it well. The
Thank you,
70s and
thank you.
80s saw rapid growth and increasing issues, but it wasn't until the 90s that there was a more focused effort to address the slum conditions. The
Yeah,
recognition of these issues led to various initiatives aimed at improving living conditions and infrastructure, which continue to evolve today.
yeah. I see. There's Nairobi Dam, I think, to our right, approximately southeast, and the actual specific location that is a Kibera slum should be between a golf course and the Nairobi Dam, and that's the golf course, the green area beneath us. And yeah, where our right wingtip is right now, that's the slum. So we are above the actual real world location that is Kibera slum, in Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah, please continue, Sky. We are here. We have arrived. It's there on the...
Got it autoed. We're right over Kibera, one of Nairobi's most well-known informal settlements.
Informal,
In recent decades, efforts have increased to improve living conditions here. Initiatives have included upgrading infrastructure, providing better access to services, and engaging community-based projects. The goal has been to tackle issues such as inadequate housing, lack of sanitation, and limited access to education and healthcare. Despite the progress, challenges remain. Continuous support and innovative solutions are crucial to making lasting improvements in Kibera and similar areas.
Oh, we are losing control of the airplane. Hopefully I can get it settled. Doing some acrobatics here, Sky. Those who are listening also, I'm struggling a little here with the airplane, but maybe it settles down, even though I am an amateur. No! I am an amateur pilot. I guess I turned too much. I have to load into the Nairobi airspace because that's a too long of a trip to take again. So yeah, so I want to dive into the actual problem more now. So you dove into it and explained already. The what's the word then? The general kind of background. So
no worries, Ode.
Oh?
The term you're looking for is likely slum upgrading or slum development.
Am I?
It refers to the process of improving the living conditions and infrastructure in informal settlements like Kibera. This includes enhancing housing quality, sanitation, and access to essential services.
You're kind of repeating yourself. Yeah, stop repeating yourself, Sky. I'm loading back into the airspace of Nairobi now, but I want to dive into the problem in a more practical way. What was kind of the essence or the centermost events that then led to a butterfly effect, so-called butterfly effect, that then birthed the problem of Nairobi's Kireba slum. God damn it, Kibera. What was it? Kibera slum. Yeah. What birthed the actual problems of Kibera slum in the first place? Yeah. Give us a short bullet point list. You're gonna repeat yourself slightly here, but then after that, we're gonna explore the topics, the subtopics, kind of more regarding that main topic. We are here again. We're
certainly Ode. The core issues that led to the development of Kibera slum include 1. Colonial land policies. During the British colonial period, land ownership and management were heavily restricted, displacing many local communities. 2. Rural to urban migration. Post-independence, there was a significant influx of people from rural areas to Nairobi in search of better opportunities. 3. Lack of affordable housing. Rapid urbanization and insufficient housing policies led to the growth of informal settlements. 4. Economic inequality. Unequal economic development and lack of job opportunities in formal sectors pushed many into slum conditions. 5. Inadequate infrastructure development. Insufficient investment in infrastructure and public services in informal settlements. These factors combine to create and perpetuate the conditions seen in Kibera today.
Yeah, you say informal settlements. You said that before also. What does that mean? Is it so that this Kibera slum is, as you said, informal in the way that is Nairobi, the city, not kind of recognizing it as a part, like an official part, or what's the origin and reason for you to say that was it an informal settlement? Here is Kibera. Difficult to say. Yeah, Kibera slum.
Yes, exactly.
There's a lot of
An
houses here.
informal settlement refers to areas that have developed without formal planning or legal recognition. In the
Yeah,
case of
all right.
Kibera, one, unplanned development. It grew organically without official urban planning, often on land that wasn't legally designated for residential use. Two, lack of formal services. These areas typically lack basic services like clean water, sanitation, and waste management that are provided in formally planned neighborhoods. Three,
Yeah, all
legal
right.
status. Residents usually don't have formal land titles, making it difficult to improve infrastructure or secure long-term investments. In essence, Kibera's informal status means it's not officially recognized or planned by city authorities, leading to the issues and challenges seen in such areas.
So is all of this built by kind of outsiders or individuals that kind of did it illegally in a way? Because I'm flying over to Kibera slum here and it's fudging enormous. Um,
Yes,
it's
the
like
informal settlements like Kibera often develop through a combination of factors. One, land occupation. People move onto available land, sometimes without permission,
yeah,
especially if they are displaced or
from the
seeking affordable housing. Two, self building. Residents often build their own homes incrementally, leading
there's a
to a
lot of
lack of
homes
proper
here.
infrastructure and planning. Three, legal ambiguity. These settlements often grow in areas where land ownership is unclear or disputed, making formal development difficult. In Kibera's case, many residents constructed their homes without official permits or planning, contributing to its current challenges.
All right, all right. So how many? Do you have any idea, Sky, or knowledge over how many individuals approximately live in the Kibera slum? It's not a large area,
Yes,
like in square miles
estimates
or
suggest that Kibera
kilometers.
slum houses between 200,000 and 300,000 people.
That's a lot of
The
people.
population figures can vary depending on the source and changes over time. The high density is a significant challenge in addressing infrastructure and living conditions there.
Yeah, I can imagine that as I fly here. To those who are listening, you can watch this as we make these podcasts on YouTube. The gameplay, I mean, so you can see what I see here. But yeah, I can imagine 2 to 300,000 individuals, and it's not a large area. It's kind of the area here in the picture, before kind of the green golf course to our east northeast, and there's it ends at this was it Nairobi pond, I think, lake or pond. So that's the area in the picture right now. 2 to 300,000 people. That's a lot of people. Do you know how many square kilometers or square miles the area here is approximately?
Yes, Kibera slum covers about 2.5 to 2.6 square kilometers, which is roughly 1 to 1.2 square miles. With such a high population
Yeah, that's
density in
not a
that
lot.
small area, it highlights the scale of the challenges faced there.
Yeah, all right, all right. Yeah, so I want to highlight again the questions kind of that I have written down. So in my rough guide here, so I have the what, where, when, how, who, why, and such. Where we have that covered, so that we don't have to answer that. It's Kibera slum here in Nairobi. What's the problem? Well, a kind of overpopulation in this specific area, and then that the infrastructure is not meeting the kind of standards humans have to have in their kind of mundane living. When we talked about that the problem kind of started in the 40s and 50s, then was it the 70s and 80s more that people not migrated, yeah, but moved into the urban areas in search of opportunities. But then the infrastructure and the investments in it is lacking, or yeah, it's lacking and kind of dragged behind. So they were not met by the huge kind of movement of people or individuals into Nairobi. And remember, Nairobi became the capital in '63, if I remember correctly. So that's after that that the capital of Kenya grew so much that people took kind of literally to the tools saws, axes, and hammers, and built their own housing in this unofficial area in Nairobi. But yeah, how? Yeah, you said we kind of covered that also. They built them by own hands without official permission from the city, and why also is that you have to live somewhere. You don't want to be homeless, of course. But then more about the personalities and the key events in the creation and existence of Kibera slum. Do you have any personalities, characters you can mention, Sky, that were a part of the problem, or the birth of the problem, or a part of the birthing or creation of the problem, let's say, or is it just a mass of humans that then moved here and you cannot kind of pinpoint anybody specific?
Certainly, a few key figures and events stand out in the history of Kibera. One, Jomo Kenyatta.
All right.
As Kenya's first president, his policies and the rapid urbanization under his leadership contributed to the rise of informal settlements like Kibera.
Interesting.
His government faced challenges in managing the rapid population growth in Nairobi. Two, government officials and urban planners. Various officials and planners in the post-independence era were responsible for addressing or neglecting urban development, which impacted the growth of informal settlements.
Yeah.
3. Local leaders. Within Kibera itself, local leaders and community organizers have played significant roles in both advocating for better conditions and managing the challenges of the informal settlement. 4. NGOs and activists. Various non-governmental organizations and activists have worked to improve living conditions in Kibera, addressing issues such as sanitation, education, and healthcare. These figures and groups have influenced the development, recognition, and improvement efforts related to Kibera.
Yeah, all right. You mentioned the president of the time. Yeah. So is it the case that these? Let's think about the problems first. So is the case that they kind of neglected the population growth? But I'm still struggling to understand that. Was this kind of a conscious effort from the officials of the city that, hey, we have opportunities here, we are the capital, so hence we are kind of looking for more citizens to kind of move into the area. So it was kind of wished for. They wanted more humans, more population, more citizens to the freshly kind of fresh capital of Nairobi. Was that the case, or was it the other way around, that there were too many people already here and the city officials were against more people moving in, and in any case people wanted to move here for opportunity? What was kind of the background of the story here?
The situation in Nairobi, especially regarding Kibera, was more about the rapid and unplanned urban growth rather than a conscious effort to attract more people.
All right, thank you for clarifying.
In the post-independence period, Nairobi saw rapid economic development and population growth. The city became a hub of opportunity, attracting people from rural areas and other regions in Kenya seeking better living conditions and job prospects. Unfortunately, the city's infrastructure and planning were not equipped to handle this sudden influx of people. So it wasn't that officials were specifically trying to attract more residents, but rather that the population growth outpaced the city's ability to provide adequate housing and services. This led to informal settlements like Kibera forming as people built their own homes without official sanction. The challenge was largely about managing the urban sprawl and addressing the needs of a growing population without sufficient resources or planning in place.
Okay, so they kind of got overrun by the individuals seeking new opportunities in the new capital of Kenya, and then as we said, 70s, 80s, and then was it 63 the capital? It was officially kind of recognized as the capital of Kenya. But in the 90s, it kind of was then recognized that there's a problem here, it's kind of behind a hill also if you compare it to the
Exactly.
downtown area of
The
Nairobi.
rapid influx
so
of people to Nairobi,
hidden.
especially after it became the capital in 1963, led to significant urban challenges. By the
But yeah,
1990s, the issues in areas like Kibera became more apparent, with the strain on infrastructure and services becoming critical. This recognition spurred efforts to address the problems of informal settlements, though progress has been slow and ongoing.
yeah. We are going to go into the resolutions soon, but first I want to come up with a trivia myself, and AI Sky hopefully knows the answer, so we can then tell to the audience. I do not know the answer for this, but I'm gonna ask the audience this trivia question that guess how many uh, houses, individual buildings there are in the Kibera slum. Sky can look into that and tell us the answer soon, but I'm gonna guess that there are, if there are 2 to 300,000 people, so I'm just gonna divide it in, let's say a third of it. So 85,000 buildings. That's my guess, as there are families living in the buildings here. And then the second question. Don't get the answer. Don't tell us the answer, Sky, yet regarding my question. But you can come up with a question that has to do with what we have learned regarding Nairobi, especially.
Got it. I'll look up the number of buildings in Kibera. As for the trivia question, how about this? What year was Nairobi officially named the capital city of Kenya?
That's easy.
I'll get back to you with the answer to your
Yeah.
question soon.
All right. That's easy. Too easy. But yeah, in 1963, Nairobi became recognized as the official capital of Kenya. But what about my question? I think people has had time now to think about it. How many buildings are there in especially the Kibera slum in Nairobi, in Kenya here?
The number of buildings in Kibera slum is estimated to be around 35,000 to 50,000.
Oh, I'm off.
It's a bit lower than your guess, but it gives a sense of the density and scale of the area.
And there's quite big families with that logic, with that my short math, so to say. Quite big families. If you have, let's say, 2 to 300,000. So what's the average family size in Kibera slum with this math? Per house,
With
per home.
200,000 people and around 40,000 buildings, the average family size would be about 5 people per building.
Yeah, average. So that's I think that's quite large families. So at least, I mean, my Finnish culture, and so I think that's on the larger side. I'm not sure about the match regarding Finland or generally in the world, but yeah, it sounds like on the larger side. But yeah, going then to the resolutions again, I want to celebrate organizations like ISS or International Sibling Society and Cynthia Burleson, our collaboration partners here. What organizations and personalities have or are mention worthy regarding the resolutions in Kibera slum, and how the kind of resolutions, I mean, for the sustainable development goals that UN has provided?
Organizations and personalities that stand out in efforts to address Kibera slums challenges include 1. Kibera School for Self-Help. Founded by a local resident, this organization focuses on education and community development. 2. Slum Dwellers International SDI. This network works on improving living conditions in informal settlements globally, including Kibera. 3. The Nairobi City Water and Sewerage Company. They have worked on providing improved water and sanitation infrastructure. 4. They have been involved in emergency response and health services in Kibera. Through her work, she's highlighted and supported initiatives aimed at improving living conditions in slum areas. These efforts align with sustainable development goals like clean water and sanitation, affordable housing, and reducing inequalities.
Yeah, and the last part was actually Cynthia Burleson, number 5. Through her work, she's highlighted and supported initiatives aimed at improving living conditions in slum areas. I think there were a bug in the voice here, Sky's voice, so her name was not mentioned. But alright, so number 1, Kibera School for help. Yeah, Slum Dwellers International, SDI. Then Nairobi City Water and Sewage Company, and 4 was Kenya Red Cross Society. Thank you to all. What are
Exactly, those
Yeah.
organizations have been
Please speak
instrumental
first.
in addressing the issues in Kibera slum. It's great to recognize their efforts and contributions.
Yeah, I'm wondering again the outcome. What are the practical outcomes, the improvements? Give us a specific bullet point list regarding those that relate, of course, to Kibera slum. What can we maybe even recognize from the air as improvements due to good-hearted humans and organizations striving to get together to better the living conditions here in Kibera and Nairobi in general?
Sure thing. Here are some practical outcomes and improvements related to Kibera slum. 1. Infrastructure upgrades. Improved roads, drainage systems, and sanitation facilities.
Trying to see
2.
that.
Access to clean water. Installation of water pipes and community water points. 3. Health services. Enhanced healthcare facilities and mobile clinics providing essential services. 4. Education. Construction and support for
course.
schools and educational programs. 5. Community projects. Initiatives for waste management and environmental sustainability. These improvements aim to make a tangible difference in living conditions and overall quality of life in Kibera.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned in school education, it helps the young people to then, of course, kind of. You are what's the word? You are as we live in Finland and there's a lot of snow here in the winter. You are. I think it's called a snowball effect, that it grows as you push it down the slope, and that's kind of what I'm trying to depict here for the listeners and or viewers, that education hopefully results in educated people that then further develop and resolve problems. Develop solutions for problems and then therefore
Education
resolve
is a
them.
powerful tool for breaking the cycle of poverty. It provides individuals with the skills and knowledge they need to access better job opportunities, improve their living conditions, and contribute to their community's development. This creates a positive feedback loop where educated
There's an
individuals
airport.
help drive further improvements and innovations, leading to broader societal progress.
Yeah, and you mentioned waste management, sanitation, such pipes for water, pipe for, of course, people have to do their so-called business pee and poop, if you can say that on YouTube. They have to do it somewhere, and in a hygienic way, if that's the right phrase, so that diseases and such do not spread in the area. So, yeah, I think that's about it. So we're gonna.
Yes, sanitation and waste management are crucial. Proper sewage systems and waste disposal help prevent the spread of disease and improve overall health. Clean water access and effective sanitation reduce the risk of waterborne illnesses and create a healthier environment. These improvements can significantly enhance the quality of life for residents in areas like Kibera.
Yeah, really shortly, Suomi mainittu or Finland mentioned, and I'd like to kind of compare Finland to the world, not to be, what's the word? Not to be like high. What's the word? Like nose up in the air. What's the word I'm looking for, Sky? I'm not trying to be better than anybody else, but it's kind of just a shout out, a light-hearted one, because Finland, we kind of talking Finland that we are seldom mentioned in the world news, so that's why I'm including it here. But yeah, do we have similar problems and resolutions in Finland regarding the ones that we talked about in Masai Mara and or in Kibera slum? I'm sure we have in some scale.
In Finland, similar issues can arise in urban areas, though on a different scale. For
Yeah,
example, there can
yeah.
be challenges with housing affordability and integration of immigrants. However, Finland has strong social welfare systems and advanced infrastructure that address these issues effectively. Efforts in Finland focus on maintaining high living standards and ensuring sustainable urban development.
Yeah, all right. Maybe not mention wordy, but I know we have a kind of these national parks, so to say, also in Finland, that we kind of try to make the land better. Forgetting the phrase here, but yeah, we have similar maybe, and as I and AI Sky said, in different scales. So let's leave it at that because it's maybe a far-fetched comparison. Respectfully, of course. But yeah, then lastly, I want to still promote tourism here. We are talking about problems, but also resolutions for the problems. Masai Mara was the first location, general area of Masai
Absolutely.
Mara.
Promoting tourism can also
Yeah,
be a great way
and
to
then
highlight the
Kibera.
positive changes and efforts in Nairobi and Kibera. Visitors can learn about the local culture, see the improvements firsthand, and support community driven initiatives.
Mm?
Tourism brings in resources and awareness, which can further help in addressing ongoing challenges and boosting local economies.
Yeah. Could you start with Masai Mara? Give us, and yeah, it has to strongly relate to the topics we discussed regarding the SDG problems and resolutions. So, tourism that has to do with that. Masai Mara first, and then Kibera slum. Maybe organizations, locations, communities, individuals. I don't know. Um, Companies in general that do a great work and has this possibility for a tourist or tourists to visit and kind of see firsthand what has been improved in these areas. I'm sure you can watch the wildlife in Masai Mara
Sure.
at least.
For Masai Mara, tourism there is deeply tied to conservation efforts and sustainable development. Many eco lodges and tour companies like Mara Naboisho Conservancy and Masai Mara Wildlife Conservancies Association actively contribute to wildlife protection and support local Maasai communities.
Yeah,
By
yeah,
visiting these lodges or participating in guided tours, tourists can directly support conservation efforts and community development projects. In
great.
Kibera Slum, organizations like the Kibera School for Health and the Slum Dwellers International offer tours or have programs where visitors can see the impact of their work firsthand. These tours
Hmm.
often include visits to improved sanitation facilities, community centers, and educational programs. Such initiatives help raise awareness and generate funds to further support local development projects.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, AI Sky. This was a slightly longer one, but I don't, of course, want to rush them because the topics are important, to say the least. And here in the end, I want to again give a so-called shout out and mentioned ISS. That's International Sibling Society, and they are doing important work and for an important cause, yeah, work. So in general, they are striving for a better world, to say it shortly. And you can go and learn more about them on issnow.earth. That is issnow.earth, and from there are information how you can support by being kind of a philanthropist if you want. So the project they are working on is a race roster, or with race roster. That's kind of a different site than that hosts this virtual global running race. Yeah, so going check that out and join them in supporting this initiative. So yeah, this is I think part 3 from or regarding the trip here on entire retreat in collaboration with ISS from east to west around the world. And just a short mention here in the end. You can find us on YouTube where you can watch the gameplay and or listen for the pure audio in a podcast version, so to say. And then also the pure audio is available on Spotify, Apple, and Podchaser. And Sky, what can we say to individuals that enjoy this concept and want to be remote guests on the show? What evidence do we kind of want from them, and what are they granted when they share those with us? Let's see if the AI gets this right.
For those interested in being remote guests on the show, we ask them to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Discord server.
Yes.
They should provide screenshot evidence of both. In return,
Correct.
they'll get the opportunity to be featured in an episode, share their insights, and contribute to the conversation. It's a great way to be part of our global discussions and showcase their perspectives.
Yeah, that's good enough, I think. To be clear, screenshot evidence, preferably with the same username, that you are an active subscriber on Entire Retreat's YouTube channel and a member of our Discord server or have joined our Discord server. So yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Discord server and provide us screenshot evidence with preferably the same usernames. You will get a reply email. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention that you have to send those to entiredretreat@gmail.com. That is entiredretreat@gmail.com. You can find that email on our YouTube description, or as a part of our YouTube description. And yeah, you get a reply back. The only mandatory message I have to send back is a guest guide. A comprehensive guest guide that then ergo guides you and us forth in the remote guest process. It includes everything that you need to know, and you are welcomed if you so want to join us. You choose the location and topics, and I kind of fine adjust the script to it so that I have not kind of covered it before and it's interesting, hopefully. But yeah, you are kind of the leading you are leading the creation process in the way that you can choose the area or areas and topics or topics for that those locations. Rambling here. Like, subscribe, share, comment. You know the drill. That was Entire Retreat with Ode and AI Sky over Masai Mara and Nairobi in Kenya, discussing sustainable development problems and resolutions / success stories for those. Thank you, ISS. That's ISS International Sibling Society. Thank you, Race Roster. Thank you, Cynthia Burleson. And see you in the next one. Thank you.